Hello everyone, my name is Camille Hubert. I am the head of strategic development at Alpin Limited. Today we're going to discuss green building and the green building industry. I'm very happy to be with my colleague Nareg Oughourlian, who is the managing director at Alpin Limited. So welcome Nareg, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Camille. It's a pleasure to be here. Always wonderful to have an opportunity to share on different platforms our experiences with green buildings or a variety of topics. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
It's very interesting to see the momentum happening currently in the region, in the UAE, and also in Saudi Arabia, where I joined Alpine I think 7 years ago, and we didn't have that much interest in green building certification, and now we see a real shift. I think post-COVID that happened in the market.
I mean, there's always been pockets of interest. I won't deny in Saudi we have a long history of projects, of clients calling us up about sustainable assets. So interest has always been there. We've definitely seen a huge shift happen over the past 5, 6, 7 years. I think the UAE and Saudi Arabia have definitely been at the forefront of this change of mindset, of this transition, let's call it. It started with Istidama all those years ago in Abu Dhabi, 10, 12 years ago, created essentially a market for sustainability. Was not enough to make it mainstream per se at the very start. However, as you said, in the last 5, 6 years, it's become part and parcel of the construction industry. It's no longer seen as a luxury. If you want to build a building, you better start thinking about sustainability as a core element of your project. And in many ways, Alpin has been at the forefront of kind of this, we won't call it revolution, it's more of an evolution, natural evolution. And we've been quite happy to contribute and play our part as the market goes in that direction.
I think one thing is clear is that green buildings are going to help us, deal with the climate emergency. There's a lot of support currently coming from private entities, coming from governmental entities, and it's great to see that everyone is coming around the table and pushing the boundaries of sustainable development in the region.
I agree. I agree. It started off as a regulatory approach. But the undeniable fact that construction and the built environment plays a huge role in climate change and the impact that humanity has as a whole on our planet is undeniable in terms of numbers, in terms of real life impact that we see. Construction and operation of built asset plays a big role in the emissions that we have. Today, if we want to discuss climate change, we want to talk about fighting back against emissions and making sure that we have a longer future and we're sustainable in terms of human development, we need to take into consideration construction and built assets. It's undeniable. It has become more or less an important part of the ESG framework as well. As investors kind of flood into the region, there's a lot of appetite for investment in this part of the world. However, they all come with the expectation that ESG, proper climate change protocols are in place, and that includes construction, includes ways to govern construction. Now, we're quite lucky in the sense that the leadership here in the region started considering this as a regulatory framework, as I mentioned, a while back. So it's been more than 10 years. Istidama, I think, started around the early 2010s. It was implemented quite successfully. The rollout is probably one of the most successful rollouts of any standard or protocol that I've seen. And it worked really in a wonderful way to kind of prepare the market for the evolution of green buildings from a luxury, as we mentioned, to something that has become essentially part and parcel or business as usual.
Now we see developers taking a bit more risk, let's say, in trying certifications that are not necessarily easy to achieve. So, for example, we see a lot in Saudi Arabia, a lot of developers targeting lead homes, which is more common in the US, let's say. We've seen also project targeting Envision certification, which is more focusing on the infrastructure of a project, and this was not something that developers would target 4 or 5 years ago. So it's really amazing to see a lot of the developers like really pushing the boundaries of sustainability. Another thing that we were never hearing was before was net zero targets or net zero goals. Nowadays, we are actually working on specific case studies and projects that are targeting net zero with tangible milestones and specific KPIs that will hopefully help them achieve the certification or the net zero target.
In many ways, the way I like to think of Alpin is the glue that brings it all together, right? Um, it's not necessarily that we're selling a service per se or a standalone service or something that you plug into your project and all of a sudden your project becomes sustainable. This is a misconception of what we do. The market requires experts that brings together the different expertise that come from the traditional design and construction of built assets. We're not throwing that away. What we want is someone that guides them into certain subtle changes in the process that leads to sustainable assets. And that's what certification is all about. Certification per se is just the ribbon at the very end. It's an administrative process. Maybe some people don't know that. The way I look at certification is the administrative reward you give yourself at the very end of any project. Instead, what we like to think about is sustainability ingrained into the construction process. And this doesn't necessarily require a consultant. We have to be frank, it doesn't require a consultant. But then what you need is to hire for every project experts in every line of work that Alpin provides support in. So you have an energy expert, you have a water expert, you have a waste expert, you have someone that understands energy simulation, you have the tools to perform energy simulation. If you have all of those, you can ingrain them into your project. Instead, what Alpin does is that we have these experts at hand and we use a modular approach to provide you with this support on every single one of our projects. And you, Camille, as someone who has worked in the market for a long time, you've seen the impact that we've had with clients, right? Not all clients want all our services. In many ways, sometimes they would require something specific where they're lacking. And that's the key point. This is where Alpin comes in.
For example, we recently started working on a new project where the client had, let's say, a general certification goal. And, Alpin comes in providing very niche services. So, for example, we're talking about building envelope commissioning, where, we have a team of engineers that are facade experts, let's say, and they will make sure that the facade of the building is not going to have any leakage in the future. So in this case, Alpin comes in with specific experts that, let's say, big engineering firms don't necessarily have, right, in-house. And I think this is a huge value added on specific projects. And another thing that is important to mention is when you were saying we're not just selling services, is that, we're constantly explaining our clients what sustainability means, and
yes.
We are constantly giving them this awareness talk
yes.
about what it means to have a sustainable buildings. And I think we have a mission to change the industry. It's not about telling them, there you go, sign and you will get a LEED certification. We are here to really change the market, change the mindset, and make sure that, at the end of the day, we improve the industry overall, the design and construction and operation industry.
That is, you've hit the nail on the head, Camille. What our job is in many ways to prepare the market for that transition, for that evolution, to pave the way for the construction industry to move towards this direction. It hasn't been easy. We've been in this market for a long time, talking to clients, explaining to partners about sustainability, about the different standards and what they bring to the table has been quite challenging. And it's not always a given that you're going to jump straight ahead with clients, even the most promising of clients, even the most willing of clients. There's always this question of, why are we doing this? What's the impact? Can you give me the tangible impact? Can you show me this tangible impact? And this is where, as consultants, we have to play a smart, intelligent role in convincing our clients that what we're doing is a net positive, there are definitely the key indicators that show that what we're doing is positive, and this is what we do every single day, and this is what we work towards every single day.
And I think another important point to mention here, which was kind of part of the larger scope of work when we were working on developing Mostadam, the new Saudi green building rating system, is that we need to strongly build capacity inside the country, inside the UAE, inside KSA. And I think right now, the biggest challenge that we face is that there's not enough experts in the market that can help our designers, that can help our contractors to achieve this certification and to make sure that we will have a built asset that is sustainable for the, as you said, for the coming 10, 15, 20 years moving forward. So I think it's really important, and I think this is one of our core services and core strength, is that we are training the people that will be helping out the industry move forward. And also, I think you and I had multiple meetings with a lot of clients where the major question is, what is the ROI of my green building certification? And I think this is something that is extremely hard to explain, because you cannot put really a number, right? You cannot really give a specific percentage.
We've tried.
We've tried.
We've absolutely tried.
We've wrote white papers about it to try to explain. But I think the most important thing to tell these developers is that, do the right thing for your people.
Yes.
Make sure that the people that will be in your buildings will be able to have good acoustics, will have good indoor air quality.
Yes.
All these aspects are crucial for all of us and for the young generation to come.
Couldn't agree more. We talk a lot about eating healthy. Does anyone tell us what the ROI on eating healthy is?
Exactly.
Very difficult to put a number to it, but what you do know is that it's the right thing to do. It's absolutely the same here. We know it's the right thing to do to create sustainable built assets. This is what we tell our people. The outcomes that they are directly contributing to are all positive. This is what we want people to do, to wake up in the morning knowing that when they go to work, when they advise their clients, it's going to lead a net positive to our communities, to our societies, to the countries that we live in. And for that, is something that we should be very proud of.
And we see that a lot of projects in the UAE and in Saudi Arabia are targeting certifications currently. I think we have reports showing more than 1,000 certified projects in Saudi Arabia and more than 700 in the UAE. So these numbers are very impressive, and it looks like the market is going towards the right direction.
So the future for Alpin is quite bright. I think I've never been as optimistic for the region as I am now. I believe that the green field in front of us is massive. And I look forward genuinely to see how things evolve over the next 10 years, to see the outcomes of Vision 2030 in Saudi, Vision 2030 in the UAE, and the multiple visions we have for the different countries in the Gulf. I think there's a lot of good that's about to happen.
It's been a great conversation. Thank you so much for the insights.
And I look forward to further discussions in the future.